Hi, and welcome to the Unseen Strands podcast, a crochet and fiber arts related podcast where I, your host Bo, am visually impaired and will be sharing with you strands of the rest of my life. So guys, it's been close to forever since I've actually done an in front of the camera podcast. I did do a stash acquisitions back in June or May. I want to say it was May, but otherwise I have not podcasted since April. And therefore, I'm not sure if I'm going to do this in 3 separate installments or if I'm just going to do it as one longer episode. But right now, what I've done for you is I have gathered all my finished objects since April. So the last thing that I looked at in my last podcast that I had done as a finished object was my I'll Be There For You shawl, which yes, I have not drawn for who that Happy Mail is going to yet. It's been closed off for, almost 4 months now? Oh, guys, I just last week got out this week? On Labor Day, I just got out the prices for the New Year, New You Cal, so we're a wee bit behind in things. But we have been working, and even though this pile is unimpressive, since it is April, May, June, July, August, it is 5 months worth of stuff I've created. So we're going to start off with hats. April hat. This was supposed to be for Scrappy April. These are for the Wool Needles Hands. I keep saying it backwards. Wool Needles Hands podcast. She does a hat along, and each month has a different theme. This was supposed to be scrap, and even though this is one solid color looking hat, it was done with what was left over of a Eversoft skein of yarn, and that is a Premier yarn, and that is like all I had of the yarn. Like, you start here and the tail is actually the end of the yarn, so I made that as big as I could, and I thought I was gonna have to do the ribbing in another color, but it turned out that I had just enough. And if I don't remember all the details on some of this stuff, it's because it's been 5 months since we've podcasted. So then we made it to the May hat. Now this is an actual adult-sized hat, so I can sample this one. Maybe not the best. This is a pattern by the Firefly hook. It is the Franklin Street beanie, if I remember correctly. And what this hat uses is it uses a system of linked stitches. And basically, from what I understood, is it's kind of like Tunisian, but not Tunisian. So you are still using just normal stitches, but you're doing it the Tunisian style. But anyways, this is in Chamonix yarn, which is a mohair acrylic blend, I believe, that I had gotten from my Hirschner's haul, which was in the video back in April. I only know that because I went and watched the video back in April to know what the hell I had talked to you guys about. But yeah, this is a time/yarn eater. Like, I think I finished this like on the last day, and I started it not terribly long before the month had started, but I just got done with it so late because it just took forever to do. But it was a great pattern. The only problem was she had a photo tutorial for how to do the link stitches, and of course I can't see that, so I had to go to YouTube. So I assume I did it correctly, or at least did it somewhat correctly, but I have no idea. And then we get to our June hat, and guys, this one won a prize. I haven't gotten that yet because I just got the email about it, but this is a turban style hat. I want to say it was a textured turban. That would be on my project page on Ravelry. All these hats will have a project page because since they are along on Ravelry, they do have that bonus for them. But this is a hat that is done out of the leftovers of the Red Heart soft yarn in the color turquoise. This was a fairly nice, easy pattern. I thought I was doing the adult size, but this looks a little small. I mean, I do have a small head. So, and I had the flower that's in my hair actually on the hat in the front here. But yeah, you can see it's a wee bit small for even me. I mean, it is supposed to be a chemo capish kind of hat. But I think I might send this off to Billy for the kids' hats because I think it's kind of small for the other. Well, it's got some stuff on it. That's what happens when things are in storage forever and ever and ever. But that's what, yeah, I think well, I still have to wash all this anyways, but that one's gonna definitely need washed. Then we move on to, and those, all of those, no, April was knit. So we had knit, crochet, crochet, and then we're back to knitting. So this was my attempt at brioche. I have no idea if this was done correctly or not, but you see it was mostly red that way. And if we flip it inside out, it is now mostly blue. This is made out of Leading Men Fiber Arts yarn. I don't remember if this is the superwash yarn base or not. I will actually have to look at my yarn to find that out. But this hat was made for Sam. Which is why it's a nicer yarn than my other yarns, because if it's staying in my house, I can wash it correctly. But yes, this was his hat. He picked out this yarn, and so we made that for him. I technically used the outline of a hat that I had found on Ravelry, but on further inspection, I did like absolutely nothing but the ribbing as the pattern said. So that was not really too pattern either. And then we had our August hat, which, if you may notice, looks an awful lot like our April hat, our A month's match. This is a smaller size, but it was a maker's choice, and so I did a smaller version of the hat that I was doing in August because I was working on some other things, so I wanted a quicker project. Not that these hats take forever, but the increases were easier to memorize for this hat, or what I had done, I guess, matched up better because I worked half of this hat while we were on the Great Label Hunt. So I didn't have the pattern in front of me. I knew basically the outline, and so I had to stop when I couldn't remember, and so I just kind of finished the hat from there. So that is our hat-along hats. Now this month is a hat of any particular style, so if you have any suggestions, I'm very open. The suggestions were like ear flap. I don't know. I almost wonder if I can do beanie because I could do those preemie hats again. But actually I need to get those off in the mail. So that's another reason why I wanted to record this, because I really need to get things wrapped up and sent off for the cows that are ending, or the donation things that are starting to pick up at this out for you. So another thing that I finished, you know, I did think of something else that I finished that I haven't shown you guys in a podcast format. Maybe I'll pause again and see if I can find that quick in a minute. But another thing was there was the doily along with Katrina Creations, and I made this doily. Of course, it's not blocked or anything, so it does look much nicer. I want to say this was the Consuma. Again, there would be a project page for it on Ravelry. I made this back for that, and this really brought me back in time because I haven't done anything with thread in years, and I really love working with the finer weights of yarn. So this was really fun for me to do. It was very different. It had a lot of going behind stitches and things, and so that was a nice, fun little project. And I'm not sure, you know, I might actually finish this off and get it all blocked up and pretty and give it to my dad for Christmas / you know, whatever, because he does appreciate this kind of fancy stuff a lot more than the average person, and his house is a lot more, he'll know how to take care of it, and he'll take the time to bleach it and things. Now I don't have the first pair because I took a quick look and I could not find the bag it's in. So I'm not sure where my husband put them. But I have, well, technically the third pair of socks that I have made. This is in like my favorite colorway of all time. This is a Rebel Pearl yarns. I think it's just rebelpearl.com. But this is in the color Spadoinkle Day, which is a Cannibal the Musical reference, and yeah, I just love this color, love the reference. It was perfect. This was my husband's Father's Day pair of socks, so this goes all the way into June. But it's the exact same pair of socks, basically, that I made him back in April, which was his Apocalypse, which was a Leading Men Fiber Arts yarn, which was this color. But I don't know where that pair of socks is. And so it was cuffed down, cuff to toe, I guess. Used I think I did 3x2. I think that might have been the only, or 3x1 ribbing. I think that was the only difference in this pair, is I did that. And I did a body, I did the heel that's a lot like the toe. I think I like that heel better on average. Well, it's easier to do with fewer needles. Yeah, that is my husband's Father's Day pair of socks. Of course, my first pair of knit socks, again, was in the Apocalypse colorway. Same pattern, basically, because I did this from my memory of that pattern, because I did this while he was gone on his business trip back in June. So that was purely done like within, I think there was a 10-day period span of time that I had done those in. And then my second pair of completely knit socks was this pair of socks, which is for me. As you can tell, I have a little bit smaller feet than my husband. This is in the Something About Robots and Rainbows colorway from Gnome Acres, who is not dying anymore. I think it was Gnome Acres, right? Not Jinx. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Gnome Acres. This pattern, I did the heel flapping gusset heel pattern. I'm pretty sure I still did this wrong, because I think I slipped my stitches backwards. I think I held them forward and they were supposed to be held behind, or held them behind and they were supposed to be forward. But it still worked out. I still got a lovely pair of socks done and worked up. And of course, this fits me. These ones do use the 2x2. I've figured out that I like a 3x2 or 3x1 ribbing better. It just kind of depends on my mood. I think I've started doing the 3x2 because it sucks it in just a little more than the 3x1. Doesn't quite suck it in enough for me. And then we're going to move on to our cat mats. So back in July, we adopted a baby kitten, who I'm surprised isn't here in front of me and watching us. But we adopted a baby kitten, and at the shelter, the main shelter for this area, we had gone there and you could see all the different mats that people had made and they had put with the cats. Then when we went to this lesser known shelter, there was none of that. Now, I'm not 100% sure that they will take these mats, but I think that, I know that the other place will if this place won't. So since the place we adopted him from didn't come with any kind of cat mats and things, I decided that I was going to get a bunch of them made up out of the scrap yarn and donate them. So we have this one, which was the actual last one I finished, and like you can see, most of the stuff I still need to put in those endings, as you would have seen on the hats and things, except for the socks. The socks are completely woven in. But this cat mat was made out of yarn that I had picked up at the retreat that I went to back in February. They had a table with free yarn, and this was the free yarn that was on that table, was that cat mat. Then in reverse order, this was the one I made before that mat, and this is out of a Karen 1 pound, which is the red color, and then a Unknown Simply Soft was the other color in it. So that was cat mat number 2. Then, like I said, we're going in reverse order here. We have this cat mat. This one's a little smaller than the other ones. What had happened was this also, the other 3, I have 4 in total here. 3 of them use the same red 1 pound yarn because I just wanted to get rid of that. And I still have a tiny ball left over. But this one I ran out of the Simply Soft color, and then I had found a random yarn. I believe it was from one of my friend's grandma's stuff that she had given me to make her daughter flowers out of when her daughter was just born, which would have been a good 7 years ago, because she's the same age as Sam, the daughter. So yeah, I had this little ends, and there's only like maybe 6-7 rows of this contrast, so you probably can't even tell that in the camera, that the end is a little bit different color than the rest of it. But you just hold the yarns double, and so when I got to this point, I just held the yarn double, did a round, and then from the other end, I did on the other end of it, so that I would come out with a little stripe on each end instead of having it completely out of balance, because I kind of have to have that symmetry. It's going to drive me nuts when I get to some of these other mats because it won't have that symmetry, but I was able to do it for that one. And then we have the first one that I finished, or the second mat of this year, because I did do one out of just Simply Soft yarn earlier this year, back in February, for the retreat that I went to. But this was the first one. It uses the same Simply Soft and the same Karen 1 pound that you just saw in the other one, but this one is complete in that yarn. But yeah, guys. Okay guys, sorry for that last little pause. Like I said, if I could find it, I was going to come back. So I found it. This is my Vegas bandana cowl, which is by Will Sparga of Sparga Yarn Co. It wasn't the budget knitter, but I think he's rebranded to Sparga Yarn Co. or whatever now. But I made this back in June, and I think there was a little issue with my hooks. I think I got hooks changed around. So the top part where the cowl is, I think was done on a smaller hook than it should have been, or was done on a larger. I can't remember now. I think my hooks got switched though. Yeah, so I have this. This is done out of a Bad Wolf Girls Studios yarn. It is in the Sparkle base. The other ones were all done in the basic, what do you call it? Sock yarn base. But this was the Sparkle. I want to say it's something close to her Hagrid. I had gotten it from the Misfits, or I don't remember what her ones are called, so I just call them the Misfits collections for everyone's yarn shop. But yeah, this is another thing that I might donate for the chemo things, because not everybody wants to wear hats, and sometimes you just need a little warmth here. Or you could put it over your head and wear it, you know, that way. So yeah, it totally could be worn either way. Yeah, that was my other finished object, and I think that is all the finished objects I had for the 5 months. I have a sweater that is kind of semi-finished. It still has all the stitch markers in it. What I haven't done, except for there was a cuff, and I haven't 100% decided if I'm doing the cuff or not. So I really just need to try a couple rounds of it, see if I like it, and finish it off. Officially finish it off, because I've called it finished even though it's not. But yeah, so those are my finished objects, and guys, I think we finally made it through everything, whether it be for part 1, part 2, or part 3. I hope you guys have a lovely rest of your day and enjoy your time. Yeah, I hope that the next actual podcast is not this long in between, but as always, I try to get a weekly whip video up every week. I usually record what I do on Wednesday, so it's not usually up till Thursday. I know what we need to do. If you want to follow us on social media, there is a bunch of who I am where in the description box down below. So it's not the physical links, but it does have my username on there. And yeah, if you enjoy this episode or this part of the episode, I'd appreciate it if you'd hook the like button and subscribe. Talk to you later, guys.